Okay, so one of the first areas that I'm going to focus on is LinkedIn content. So LinkedIn is a social media profile. It is different to Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram because it has got that more commercial or professional focus. However, there are a number of very similar features, and one of those is the newsfeed. So let's start off with the newsfeed. Here is a screenshot of the LinkedIn newsfeed as of probably about 1 hour ago. And when you are accessing LinkedIn. Now for the screenshots I've provided, they are provided on desktop. And I'm going to screen share with you today on desktop because it's easy for me to show you the different functionalities. But I also want to point out that the LinkedIn mobile app is a really fantastic tool for staying connected with LinkedIn. So more often than not during the day, I access LinkedIn via the app, and then I check in once in the morning, possibly once in the evening time before I log off on the desktop. But when we look at the home screen experience, on the left-hand side, we have the summary of my profile. So it's reminding me who I am. Underneath that, my corporate pages. And then into the middle column is where we have the bulk of information. So with this is where I can see posts from people that I'm connected to or posts from people in my wider network. And I'm going to delve onto the LinkedIn platform in just a moment and show you how that works. But before I do that, I just want to also highlight what we can see on the very right-hand side. On the right-hand side, we're getting LinkedIn news. And this is a feature that has been brought to the fore. And this is where LinkedIn is recommending content for me based on the content that I engage with on the platform and the content that I create. So here we can see articles about trust in technology, office return, workations, emojis, etc. And these are just some articles. Some of them have been published as recently as 3 hours ago. Others were 6 days ago. But this is where LinkedIn is suggesting news to me that it feels I'll be interested in. Then underneath that, still on the right-hand side, we have courses, and that is a feature of my LinkedIn premium subscription. And I'm going to talk to you about that today. And underneath that, we have an ad, because remember, there are lots of advertising opportunities available for advertisers, for brands to get their message in front of a potential audience. So I think the best way of showing you content is to delve onto the platform and talk through what is going to appear, what's going to come up there. Now, I'm just going to refresh LinkedIn live. I don't know what's going to come up. Normally, it's all really good, but if you see me quickly scroll past something and you see me going at pace, just don't ask to revisit that. But disclaimer, for the most part, I'm not connected to anything that's too radical on there. Okay, so I'm going to come across into LinkedIn. I will do a refresh. So hopefully you can see my newsfeed here, and we can see that the very first post is actually a video, and this is Matt. I don't personally know Matt, so it's great that Matt has got the little intro on the video. But the reason why I'm seeing the video of Matt is because somebody that I am connected with, Sabrina Donnelly, so she's my first degree connection. Sabrina has interacted with this post, and Amy is the person who put up this post. And because one of my connections has interacted with it, it's now being brought into my newsfeed. So the great opportunity in LinkedIn is that your content can go a lot further beyond your first degree connections. So I've never worked with Amy Woods. I'm not sure who she is. So hopefully she doesn't mind being featured as part of our LinkedIn training today. But Amy is a second degree connection. And what that means is that we have shared connections in common. And I can see here that there are 6 shared connections. So whilst we've never interacted directly, I'm getting to see Amy's post because someone who I am directly connected with has liked that. So there's a lot of power in getting your content on LinkedIn, and that's why I started with the newsfeed. It's important that you're getting that level of visibility. So as I start to scroll down through my newsfeed, I see posts from people that I am connected to, or posts from people who are connected to others that I'm connected to. And of course, we have ads. So the second post will always be an ad, but I think for LinkedIn, it's really intuitive how the advertising is shown because it does just look like a post. And the reason why we know it's an ad is because it says underneath here, promoted. But I do like the advertising formats on LinkedIn because they don't feel overly promotional or too invasive with my LinkedIn newsfeed experience. Okay, so here we have another great example of content coming into my newsfeed, even though I'm not following that organization or I'm not connected with the person who shared it. So here's another example where Dave, who is my first degree connection, has shared a post from Joe, and Joe has shared the post from Culture, from the organization in the Republic of Ireland. Now this one here is a video, so it obviously autoplays, which is really great because I didn't have to interact with that. So you can see the power of video. Like it is turned off in terms of audio by default, and we can see there are subtitles, which is also really helpful. But that's how content can start to capture people's attention straight away. So with any piece of content, we have a number of reactions to choose from. We can like that post, and you'll notice that when we hover over the like, we have a number of different reactions, not dissimilar to what we see on Facebook. So we have the ability to like, celebrate, support, love, insightful, or curious. So if you find a piece of content that you thought was really insightful, you can react accordingly to that. In addition to our reactions, you have the ability to comment. So quite simply, you can comment underneath. And you can also include a visual element within this. So if I wanted to go in and include an image, I can do so with my post. So just by way of demonstration, I can include an image in my response. And this is going to be a bit random, so I'm not actually going to go ahead and post it, but you can see just how easy that is. The other reaction we have to choose from is share. So I can then share the post itself, and I can share that on my profile. And I can also share that on a corporate page that I manage, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about corporate pages throughout today's training session. And I'm just going to move that out of the way. And my fourth option is to send this via a direct message. So if you come across a post that you want to send directly to another LinkedIn user and you don't want that to be public, you can send it via message. So you can see here that the newsfeed provides you with the latest information. It's where we can see what's going on in our industry. It's where we can find out about events. It's where we can find news articles. It's where we can get updates from those that we are connected with. And we have the ability to interact with that accordingly. So it's important that as a LinkedIn user, you are creating content that people can see within their newsfeed. So conveniently, the ability to create content is at the very top of your newsfeed. So up here, I can start a post, and you'll notice we have the ability to add a photograph, a video, create an event, or write an article. If I want to start a post, I can quite simply click in and add my text here. If I want to tag another organization, I can do that by using the @ symbol and then typing the name of that organization. And then this drop-down box should appear. And once I click on it, it will be highlighted in bold. And that's how I know it has been tagged. That also applies if I want to tag a colleague. And the same functionality will appear where they're highlighted in bold. Now, to support my post, I can add an image or I can add a video. So just similar to what we saw a moment ago, if I wanted to bring in an image from my device, I can do that. And the other thing I can do is I can actually tag somebody within the image itself. So if I wanted to tag someone that was featured within the image, I can click in and tag them, not dissimilarly to that process where you tag a photograph on Facebook. There's one other activity we can do when we're uploading this image, and here we have the ability to add alternative text. And here is where I can describe what is in the photograph, and I have 120 characters to do that. Like, the benefits of this are multifaceted. Number one, adding alternative text makes it more accessible and user-friendly. So if people are using LinkedIn with the help of visual readers, they will get to see what the alt text is for that image. So it's just a really great protocol to follow. And the other opportunity is that it is a chance to include keywords about what is in your photo. So here I might do mobile photography outside. But it is that opportunity to include keywords. Now you have 120 characters, so hopefully that gives you enough room to say what you want to say. And then that's saved in the back end of the photograph. So once you've added your photo, you can just press done. That will be brought through into the post itself. So we can see that Catherine's tagged in this, and we can see that the alt text doesn't appear in the front end. But there's another feature that we can choose that will appear on the front end, and that's adding our hashtags. So quite often when we're running digital marketing training, people ask, Emma, what is the point in hashtags? Do I need to use them? Are they a fad? How do I use them? And what I would say is that hashtags are now used like keywords. They previously had a lot of value in Instagram. They are now getting used on Facebook. We use them on Twitter, and they have a lot of value on LinkedIn. So I would encourage you to add hashtags to every single post that you post on LinkedIn, and look how much LinkedIn is prompting us to do that. At the very bottom of the screen, it's saying add hashtag, and it's actually done some work by analysing the content that I normally post about and presenting to me popular hashtags. Now, I know at this moment in time, my post doesn't really make sense because I've just been typing lots of random things, showing you guys what to do. But when you add the content of your post, you will see then personalized hashtag suggestions off the back of that, but also suggestions that are relevant to the content that you create and the content that you interact with. So now we have text, we've tagged organizations and people in our post. We've included an image and tagged colleagues in our image. We've added our alt text, and we've included our hashtags. The only one other opportunity that we have is to decide who gets to see our content on LinkedIn. So here we have got 4 different opportunities. One is anyone on or off LinkedIn. The second one is anyone on or off LinkedIn, as well as posting to Twitter. So this is where it can cross-post to Twitter. It's not something I commonly do, but it is an option. The third option is to let our connections only see that update, so only people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn can see that, or I can post it so only group members are able to see that, and that would be where I select a group that I'm a member of. So we do have different levels of visibility, but my recommendation would be, if you are creating content on LinkedIn, to make that public, because you want as many people as possible to see that content, because it's your chance to connect. It's your chance to get your message out there into the LinkedIn atmosphere. So I'm going to keep it as anyone on or off LinkedIn. Okay, so now that we've put our post together, the only thing left to do is to publish our post. Now, unfortunately, at this moment in time, there is no scheduling feature within LinkedIn itself. However, you can use Hootsuite, for example. Hootsuite, you might recall, was one of the publishers of the Digital in 2021 study that I showed you a few minutes ago. Hootsuite is a third-party social media scheduling tool, and you can connect that into your LinkedIn, and it allows you to schedule your posts in advance to both your newsfeed and to your corporate page. So if you wanted to line up your content strategically, you absolutely can do that through Hootsuite. But once we're in the LinkedIn platform itself, that opportunity isn't there. I don't know if it's coming down the line. I'd love to see it happening. We've seen it roll out on Twitter, but it's not here just yet. So this will be posted in live time. Okay, so for lots of reasons, I'm not actually going to post this, but that would be the last step. And therefore, your post would then appear within the newsfeed. Okay, so here we've covered the main source of content, how to create a post. But here we also can see we have the ability to create an event and to write an article. I'm going to focus on writing an article first of all. So if I wanted to create content that was more impactful than just having it as a post, and if I wanted a longer form piece of content, I can create an article, which is almost like creating a blog post within LinkedIn. So here we see a blank template, and we have the ability to add a cover photograph. So this is something you absolutely should do. It should be representative of the article that you're creating. So again, all I'm going to have to do here is upload an image that relates to what my post is about. So here we have one of a group of people, laptop. So I'm going to bring that in. Just thinking about it. Yep, it's going to roll with it. So this is my article cover image. And then underneath is my chance to include my headline. Okay, so what we really want to do is to create an attention-grabbing headline. So something that will capture people's attention if they see the article being shared in their newsfeed, and something that intrigues the viewer to click in and read it. So popular headlines include questions, top tips too, and controversial statements, but it does depend on the content that you're creating and what an appropriate headline would be for that. Once you've added your headline, then underneath is where you can add the main body of your article. So within this, you have got editing features. So for example, you can make some of your words bold. So if you wanted to add bold headings, if you wanted to include quotes in italics, if you wanted to underline links, etc., you absolutely can do that. And if you did want to hyperlink any of the words within your article, you have your hyperlink icon here along the top, and then you have your text to display, and there is a field where you can pop in the link itself. So when you are creating content here within your article, it is typically a lot longer than what you would create within a post. So it's a good idea to create unique organic content. So this is articles that sit on LinkedIn, that are featured on LinkedIn, and you can share that across your LinkedIn profile. And what some other people do is they take blogs or articles that are already in existence on their website, and they share a summary of that in this article format. And at the very bottom, they have a link which says, if you'd like to read the article in full or to see the next 5 steps, you can click here to my website. And that way, people who are engaging with the article can then be brought across to the website to read that in more detail. So all of this is possible. It's up to you how you want to use that functionality. But it's a really great opportunity. It's all free. There's no cost in doing this. So a lot of people are not even aware that the article function exists. And you can add a lot more detail and a lot more content. Okay, so hopefully you'll agree that that's really straightforward. I'm just going to come back to our main home feed, our news feed, to show you one other element that we haven't yet talked about, and that is our event. So LinkedIn events were added within the last 12 months, and they are working really well so far. So if you have an upcoming event, I would definitely encourage you to create it as a LinkedIn event. If you've ever used Facebook events, they're not dissimilar to that. So here we can see a new light box appears, and it says create event. We can add our cover photograph. We can also add our event main image, which could be your profile picture, for example. We can then choose the organizer. This is your company. So you will be creating events, for example, on behalf of your organization. You need to have your corporate page in the background, and I'm going to show you how to set that up. And then from here, we quite simply fill in the details required. So here we will put in the event name, the time zone, because remember, you can reach people right across the globe through LinkedIn, your start date and start time, end date and end time, and then your description. Now you have got 5,000 characters for your description, so you are able to share quite a lot of detail here in your event. And you can also highlight then your speakers. So if you wanted to pull in your connections as the speakers, you can do that and tag them within the event. So people will be able to click through and view their profile because they've been associated with your event. Other options include visibility. So you can have it as a public event or a private event. If you want to, you can use a LinkedIn registration form. And this is where people actually register for the event through LinkedIn itself. Or you can take people to a registration or broadcast link. So if you were using a platform like Zoom, you can include the link to Zoom, and therefore people will click through to that in order to sign up. So that's really straightforward. That's the bulk of the information that you're going to need to create an event. Now, you might have seen events popping up on your LinkedIn profile, on your home feed. But if you want to see where all of the upcoming events are, the easiest way to find them is to go to your network. And within here, not only do you see people who have reached out to connect with you, you also get to see online events. And these again are being presented to you based on the groups that you're a part of, the people that you're connected to, the kind of content that you already engage with. So if I click in here to see all, I'm getting presented a lot of events about marketing, women in tech, Northern Ireland social media, and public speaking. What else have we got? FinTech, etc. Now, there's always going to be a few random ones in the mix as well. But if you are looking to broaden your horizon and gain some new skills, why not check out the LinkedIn events that are coming up? So the Irish Startup Conference looks particularly interesting. If I wanted to find out more about that, I can click in, view this event. You get to see their cover image, their logo. I can see if any of my connections have already registered for that. And here I get to see the detail. Now remember, you have the 5,000 characters. So these guys have used it really well. They've included their agenda so I can see who's speaking and also the organization that they represent. Also, their speakers are tagged. So if I wanted to find out more about any one of those people, I can click into their profile. And if I want to join up here, I can click attend. So I think you'll agree that it's really straightforward to set up your LinkedIn events. It's a really great way of getting the word out there about your upcoming events. And again, like everything we've looked at already, it's free to use. Okay, so I'm going to come back into the content. As I mentioned before, we have got a presentation from today's training session that I will share with you. So I've tried to make sure that I've screenshotted all the appropriate steps. So here's just a recap. I encourage you to showcase your knowledge through status updates by posting on your LinkedIn. And here, for example, is a post that I shared last week. So the guys at Blick, obviously, were promoting next week's event, this is. So I was able to share that post, tag them in it, and add more detail behind that. So therefore, that was content that was coming into my Connections newsfeeds. And I would also say you can be creating content about articles that you have read or come across that are of interest to you, updates about what you're working on and the progress you've made there, updates about upcoming events, and even things that you've taken part of. So there's an opportunity to go onto LinkedIn and post about taking part in today's training session and maybe sharing one new thing that you've learned about LinkedIn that you didn't know previously, because you can then understand the impact of that post within your network. Okay, so by way of a recap, very easy to create a post. We do that from the top of the screen. And here we have a number of different options that you can include, as well as choosing the visibility. Articles as well, our framework for articles and the information that we can fill in there. And I just wanted to share with you something that I saw recently that I thought was really, really smart when it came to getting engagement on LinkedIn. So I've only seen a few examples of this, but Gymshark did it brilliantly. It was very much of the moment. And so they have created an image, a graphic here that asks, who are you on Zoom? Because let's face it, we've been Zooming for a year already. Even though they're really valuable, some of us are starting to feel that Zoom fatigue. So we can relate to that and have some fun with it. But what they've done is they've built their graphic around the LinkedIn reactions. So who do you identify yourself as? The one with the cute pets and the cats and dogs and puppies and kittens that keep popping their noses up to say hello. If that's you, it's a thumbs up. The one on mute, and you're always being reminded to unmute. That's the celebrate icon for that. The one with all the snacks, the prepared one who's snacking throughout the day. You can react to that with the support icon. The fancy one with the new backgrounds, that's the love icon. The obsessed tech person with multiple screens, or the one who looks like a DJ with massive headphones. I've been there. It wasn't a good look. They were so uncomfortable as well. So they quickly got ditched. But we can see that this is interesting content. It's entertaining content. It's very topical. So that's going to get my attention. And quickly, I'm going to say, which one am I? Probably the one with all the snacks. That's most likely to be me. And that's going to get a support reaction. So even though I don't follow the Gymshark brand, you can see that the call to action to follow is still up at the top right-hand corner. I'm interacting with this content because it's got my attention and it's really easy for me to respond. Other pieces of content that's really, really easy for you to create would be the likes of creating polls. Polls are fantastic for research. So if you did want to do some low-level customer research, audience research, you can create a poll and get people to vote for their option. So LinkedIn created a poll just trying to sense out what's the best email sign-off. Sincerely, thanks, no sign-off, or best wishes and warm regards. Here, thanks came out on top. And that's as a culmination of 55,000 votes. So I've actually included a link to some recommendations on creating polls. So some ideas on how to do that, and you can replicate that within your own content. Okay, I want to share with you something that is new in terms of LinkedIn content, and currently it's only available on the mobile app. So this is another reason why I use the app throughout the day. This is, unsurprisingly, LinkedIn Stories. It was really just a matter of time until LinkedIn created a Stories feature, but here it is in all its glory. So LinkedIn Stories was introduced in the UK within the last 12 months, and it's starting to become a lot more commonplace. It works really similarly to what we see on Instagram stories and Facebook stories. So if you've used either of those, it will be really intuitive to create your LinkedIn stories content. Again, similar to Facebook and Instagram, when you come into the app, you see stories along the very top. So if you do happen to have your phone at hand, open your LinkedIn app, have a look along the top, and you should see the little circles representing the people that you're connected to that have created stories content. When you create a story, it's a vertical full screen experience. You can take a photograph on your phone and upload that as a story. You can choose an image from your camera library. You can also use a video. And over the top of that content, you can add text, you can add some GIFs and icons, and you can tag your connections within that story and they get notified about that. So I wanted to show you what stories look like if you haven't yet seen that in action. So over on the right-hand side, we have a screen record, and this is what we can expect from LinkedIn Stories. Okay, so hopefully you can see here the full screen experience. And this is a LinkedIn story of a LinkedIn story. So LinkedIn are obviously one of the first stories that comes up because this is a new feature. They're showing people how to create stories. So it's given us a couple of tips when we come through. But as I bypass that content, I'm now starting to see stories from people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn. So I can see what people are up to, some of the content that they're sharing by way of tips, updates from within their business, content that they're consuming or presenting. So it's very much just a behind the scenes look at what our connections are doing that day or that week. So just like what we see on Facebook and Instagram, it doesn't need to be overly polished and professional. It's really another format for us to use to stay connected with those within our network. So if you have got any questions about LinkedIn stories, articles, creating posts, etc., please do just let us know within the chat box. I will be able to answer all of these questions towards the end in our Q&A. So if there's something you want to learn how to do or you're just curious about, let us know. Okay, one other feature that's really interesting, that's getting a lot of talkability, is LinkedIn live streaming. So again, we've seen this on Instagram, we've seen it on Facebook, it's now available on LinkedIn. But with LinkedIn, it has even more value because you can then live stream your corporate meetings, you can live stream events, you can live stream award ceremonies, etc. So it's really given organizations massive potential when we think of how we maybe would have traveled to a destination for a particular event, be that an internal corporate event or an industry celebration that can now be moved to digital. You can now host this on LinkedIn. Now, with LinkedIn live streaming, we can register for the live stream. So you could obviously complement that with the LinkedIn event itself. And then we can watch it and respond. So we have all of our reactions, you'll notice at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. You have the ability to add a comment, and also you can see how many likes or reactions and comments there have been so far. But the one thing I want to let you know is that live streaming is not yet open to everybody. So LinkedIn Live is something that you have to apply for in order to use it. So according to LinkedIn, there's a review process that will take into account how you use video within your corporate profile, your overall content creation history, the audience size against your corporate profile, the engagement history of that audience. They will look at your member or your page account to make sure it's been in good standing, that you haven't had a lot of reported content or issues there. You need to have two-factor authentication turned on in your account settings, and you will need to use a compatible third-party tool in order to host and run a LinkedIn Live. So I have hyperlinked the details that you'll need to bear in mind. The thing that we can see is that it's not available just to anyone the same way that Facebook Live and Instagram Live is. They're definitely being a lot more cautious about it on LinkedIn. They want to see that people who will be using Live have got a video strategy that they've been following previously, and that they have got a good audience size and engagement history. So unfortunately, it's not something that we can just do with the flick of a button at this moment in time. But it's not to say that it's out of reach. If you have a video strategy and you want to use LinkedIn Live, I would suggest you go forward and apply to be a profile that can do the LinkedIn live streaming, because it's something that not everybody has at this minute in time.